Hello, guys. We have the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Bruce Straley today, game director for The Last of Us, and he's going to answer a few of our questions. Thank you very much for your time today, Bruce.
I'm super glad to be here, and thanks for being here.
Just to start off, Naughty Dog is pioneering the notion of blurring the distinction between movies and video games. Now, storytelling obviously is a big part of your games, and you've moved from Uncharted to The Last of Us, which is obviously a change in storyline, and it's a new direction for you guys. What was the inspiration behind it? There seems to be sort of a little bit of a I Am Legend element to it. What was the inspiration? How did you guys go about creating the script, the storyline, and how long did it take you researching everything and putting it together?
Well, I mean, it's been a dream to take on the challenge of creating a new IP at Naughty Dog. I mean, we've got, I think, one of, if not the best team in the industry, and to have them come to us, Neil, the creative director, and myself, and go, all right, we have all these skilled people. We want to give them the opportunity to become leads and really flex their muscles and show what they can do. And so we want to make a new IP. It's up to you guys. And a lot of pressure coming off of Uncharted. I mean, Uncharted is, it dominates now. I mean, truly, when you say action adventure, I think for me, it's like Uncharted kind of runs the show. And so coming off of Uncharted and going like, all right, well, what have we learned? What do we want to do? And as gamers, what do we want to play? And that's really what it comes down to, is looking honestly at ourselves and going like, all right, if you have the joystick in your hand and you can explore stories and characters and the types of situations that I don't know, afford these characters to develop in these gameplay moments that have tension, like what would you do? And we looked at our references and things that Neil and I share a common interest in, and that's like The Road, the novel, City of Thieves, the book, and Children of Men. There's we came out of No Country for Old Men, and we're just like aghast at like how amazing and absolutely riveting that movie was. And we're like, how do we get that on the joystick? And that's really what it comes down to, is like we just wanted to put that kind of tension in that moment. And the reason why we were so engaged in No Country for Old Men is because we were invested in Llewellyn Moss as a character, and we knew how terrifying Antoine Chigurh as the quote-unquote villain in that film was. And so we tried to do the same thing, essentially, by investing you with the joystick in your hand in these tense moments that can they unveil themselves dynamically with the systems that we've created for the AI, with the choices you have to make as a player as far as how you explore the environment, what you find, and how you're going to make your choices as far as crafting and how much ammo do you have. And this really gives you that opportunity to feel like a survivor yourself, so that you know what it's like to be Joel and Ellie. And when you have that experience, and when they're having to make the tough decisions as two characters in that world, I'm right there with them, and I understand what they've gone through, and I feel more attachment for what they've got, the choices they have to make. And that's truly what we want to do, is give you these moments, and they happen dynamically on the joystick, and they happen in the story because the world that we've created avails that.
That's fantastic. And you brought in the whole element of Joel and Ellie, which brings me on to our next question. So Joel's the main character in the game. Could you tell us more about the AI that controls Ellie? And is it a case of babysitting her, or does she actually assist in a big part in the game? Is that mainly down to the AI, or are there going to be parts where it's not just down to the AI, it's more your instructions, your user input that will affect what the AI does?
Well, the story required us to create a character that was capable beyond her years. She's 14, but she was born behind the walls of a quarantine zone, and she's seen horrific things pretty much every day. It's run by martial law, so somebody caught stealing ration cards, let's say, is executed on the spot. So this is the kind of this is Wednesday for her to see this kind of horrifying experience. So we really need to see her be capable beyond her 14 years of age, and that means in action. And the AI that we've created for her is something that she has to align herself with what the player's intentions are, which means if you're stealthing, then she's going to stay stealthy and also give it opportunities to, like, if somebody, as they're in some search patterns or search patrols, then the enemies, so to speak, and somebody's on your left that you haven't seen, she'll notice that person on the left and call them out, like, on your left. And you turn the camera and you see, like, oh, like, thank you, Ellie. And you're out of ammo and you just found 2 bullets in the environment, and then you're like packing them into the chamber, and she sees that somebody's coming at you. She'll pick up a brick or a bottle and like throw them at them and stun them for a small amount of time, just the right amount of time that you can just get that ammo loaded, cock your gun, and like fire a shot off. Or if you're the type of player, run, which is a perfectly valid way of surviving in this world, is just get the hell out of there. And so Ellie and her AI has been really structured to try to parallel what the player does, but also make her as capable as we possibly can. And this is also inside of this is combat, and then inside of like explore, and sort of her demeanors when she's outside of combat, like the way you're going to move around the environment, the way she's going to find objects, the way she's going to, little conversations are going to dynamically like percolate, and you get to examine this world, and she'll present these kind of interesting observations from her standpoint, from her perspective, and you're allowed the opportunity to either invest in the conversation or not. I can choose as the player to say, okay, let's find out more about Ellie, and you'll get information about her backstory and something that's going to expose you more about Joel and Ellie's relationship. Or I can walk out of that room where we were about to have a conversation, and Joel will respond to that as well. So these conversations kind of happen dynamically, and her AI will respond to that. It's been pretty incredible too, because she has to have an arc. She just can't be one piece of code. She's a real person to me now, but when you pull back the curtain, you're like, oh, there's a wizard back there pulling all these levers, and you're like, okay. At the beginning of the game, she has to operate very differently, and she maneuvers herself differently. She looks differently. She says things differently than the Ellie that you see at the end of the game. And you have to have that technological ability to flip switches like that, to be able to expose, like, all right, I need to control, not control in the game, but control like in design, this character, and shape her to be somebody different at the beginning of the game, at the end, so that you can see an arc happen. And so we went out of our way to try to make her a fully fledged character, a real character with a real identity that can stand on her own 2 feet and think for herself. But likewise, we're really trying our best to parallel the player's intentions with the way that you want to play. So a lot of choices in this game, as far as like just gritty combat and how you want to go, like just straight for it, or you want to play a little more stealthily or quietly, or if you want to just try to skip an encounter completely, there's certain encounters that we allow you to do that in. And she's going to be there with you through that whole situation.
Will she tailor herself to my specific way of play? So if I think I'm some sort of superhero and go all out Rambo style, will her character grow into that as we go through the story and our relationship builds, or is it more that she has her own personality and we see it develop as the game goes along?
She has her own personality, and she develops it as we go along, but it's because of the interactions between Joel and Ellie. What happens inside of the combat, what happens dynamically, is based on what you do. So she's going to parallel your actions. She's not just going to, if you're trying to go stealth, she's not just going to go Rambo on you and just go like, I got this, da 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 da. That's not, just because she's a fully fledged character, you're still a team. And I mean, this is truly a dual protagonist game. It's about these two interacting together. So we want to make sure that they're together and experiencing the same scenario, which is truly driven by the player.
Fantastic. Some of our community members, all big Uncharted fans, say that sometimes Uncharted felt a little bit linear. Is there anything you can say to reassure them with regards to The Last of Us about how the game flows? Does it have a lot of linear elements to it, or is it more gives you more choices and more branching with the storyline?
We tried to make a game that this world and these characters needed to exist in. And the types of AI that we created for this game required a certain amount of sort of width or scope in some of the encounters. That means that you can kind of play with the space a little bit. One of the main dynamic ways of playing is within combat. You can agitate or stir up sort of the hornet's nest, and then run away, and that's perfectly valid. Like split, man. You got a sprint button. Like get out of there. Like you're getting overwhelmed. But then you want to use the environment. So if you can like break line of sight, get somewhere where the enemies will search your last known location, and then they're going to split up into like, okay, they lost you, and you can hear them talk to each other, and like some of them are going to form little groups, but otherwise they're going to split up and try to search for you. Once they fan out again, you can break back into stealth. So this becomes this very dynamic and interesting sort of like really fun experience. You get to play with the AI. Now, granted, you're playing hide and go seek with people who want to murder you, essentially, but it's still a really fun dynamic to say like, okay, I can use my environment, I can use the crouch button to stay quiet, or I can use my sprint button to just haul ass and get out of there. And the spaces are built to allow that kind of opportunity. It's really not saying anything about linearity or not. It's really, I mean, with how you've explored the environment and what kind of supplies you have, it's going to also determine what kind of choices you're even allowed to make in crafting. Like, are you crafting an implement using binding and a blade, or am I using those same blades to create a bomb? So one's an extremely offensive, one's a bit more quiet, and I have to get close proximity for a melee object, or I can create a shiv, which is a stealth kill, all using the same blade binding opportunities. And you know, that's a choice that you have to live with, and that's something that's a commitment to say like, okay, I'm going to do this and I have to live with this, and I'm a survivor now. These are the choices, these are hard choices, even in the micro that I have to make. And again, there's all sorts of dynamics at play here with the way the AI react, whether I show my gun or don't have a gun, versus I'm out of bullets and they notice that I've just ran out of bullets, they're going to suddenly change their behavior dynamically. So the size of the environments, the type of AI that we've created, the kind of systems that we've created, all sort of work together in harmony to create a lot of opportunities for replay and for fun. You know, like if you just want to play with one setup, I still play the game. And if I can go into the setup and just play like bows only, I'm going to play with my bow. I've upgraded my bow. I feel good about that. We have New Game Plus. You can play through again, and you're going to have a lot of fun, like just toying and messing, and it's got this sense of tension that makes you feel like I'm there in the moment. And it's really fun to replay these encounters over and over again. The space avails that.
Brilliant. So the PS3's been out now for about 7 years, and what you guys have done with it on a graphical front is phenomenal. The first part of the question is, are you pushing the hardware to its limits? And with the impending arrival of the PS4, how excited are you?
Yeah, I can honestly say like the PS3 has been an awesome platform. I mean, it's given us a lot of opportunities to do things that we've never been able to do before. I think the Uncharted engine, jumping into The Last of Us and expanding on that, was like we've squeezed the blood out of the turnip officially, and I think we're ready to move on to the next generation and see what we can do with like more memory and more processing power. It's going to be really fun to see what all games do, and I think it's going to be fun when I can take the blinders off and say like, okay, we just finished the game, you know, let's let this rest a second before we just jump into next gen. But by all means, it's going to be really fun when we get there. Fantastic.
Do you play first-person shooters? Random question.
Of course, yeah, sure.
Inverted or normal?
Normal.
All right, good stuff.
Down is down.
Yeah. See, that's what I think. Yeah. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope the light reflecting off my bald head didn't make you blind. But Bruce, thanks also for taking the time to answer some of these questions. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm super glad you guys are interested, and I hope you guys have fun playing the game.
How's my mustache looking? It's all right?
Pretty tight.